4th and goal to go to the 2. 34 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is the play right now. Takes the snap. Targeted goes in. Targeted all alone. And the quarterback keeps. Wow, what a call. Nobody touched him.
Here is Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
Now you gotta go to the defensive side. Now, to be fair here, okay, the defense looked very, very tired. They were just gassed. Now I'm going to show you here in a second. They basically played. I think if I saw in the final quarter, they played 35 snaps. Okay, and that's after playing the whole game. You get to the fourth quarter, right, and they're playing 35 snaps. That's basically half a game's worth of snaps in one quarter, right? And that's after they played 3 quarters. And you're in Mile High Stadium, okay? The oxygen's not free flowing up there. One thing they did say on Big Blue Kickoff Live though today, was Paul Dottino was talking about. He heard it from somebody. I can't remember who he said it was or whatever. But he said, when you're playing in Denver, he said one of the biggest things you can do, especially playing football or basketball too, right? Some kind of active or hockey or anything like that, is when you get a chance. Every time you come out, take a few hits of the oxygen. Get on the sideline and take some hits of oxygen. Get that oxygen in you any chance you get. He said, because once it gets to like later on in the game, he said there's a point in time when you're out there in Denver where if you don't get enough oxygen in you, there's a point of like no return. There's no like in the fourth quarter when you're like you're gassed, right? I'm just going to run on the sideline, sucking some oxygen, and I'll be good to go. Well, apparently, just from what I heard from Paul Dottino today on Big Blue Kickoff Live, I've been in Denver, but I just walked in Denver. I wasn't playing football, right? So what somebody told Paul Dottino, as I said, I don't remember who he said it was, but he said once you get to that point, like in Denver, and you get tired and you're all winded and all that, there's no second wind. Sometimes like if you're running, you get tired, but then all of a sudden you get your second wind and you're good to go again. There's like none of that. Once you get to that point in Denver, you're really gassed and all. There's no coming. It's just all downhill. So one thing he was talking about is that maybe some of the defenders, every time they come out, he said there was like tanks of oxygen on the sideline. The guys were, they said you should go over there any chance you get and just start getting some oxygen in there. Don't forget it. Don't neglect it. Get some oxygen in you, because if you hit that wall, there ain't no coming back. So let me show you. Let me go back here. All right. Let me show you, the amount of plays that the Giants, this is just, they played in the fourth quarter here. Okay. So let me click this here. Boom. Click this here. Okay. So here we go. All right. So we got the fourth quarter here. So the Broncos, my bad. 1, 2, 3. The Broncos had 5 drives in the fourth quarter. So once again, you start putting all the stuff in perspective. They had 5 drives in the fourth quarter. At that rate, right? They would have had 20 drives in a game. I don't know if that's ever happened, right? That's just 20 drives in a game at that rate, right? So now we're going to the fourth quarter. The defense starting to get a little tired. So the defense has played very well up to this particular point in time. But the defense has played 3 quarters of football, right? And now we're going into the fourth quarter. And let's see how many plays that the Broncos, right? Let's see how many plays the Broncos had the ball. Let's see how many plays the Giants defense was on the field for, right? So the fourth quarter, they had 8 plays, 8-play drive, went 78 yards. So that's 8 plays. Then they got another one. I mean, look at this: touchdown, 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 field goal. They had 5 drives. Every one they scored. They went 5 for 5 in the fourth quarter. But the one thing was, obviously, is of course, is every time they go back on the field, the Giants' defense is getting more and more and more tired, right? And they were just totally gassed by the end, just totally, right? So the first drive they had in the fourth quarter, they went 8 plays, 8, right? Next time, the Giants' defense held them tough, and they went 13 plays. So that's 21 plays, okay? Then after the interception, that 4-play drive, right? So now we're at 25 plays. Then the touchdown, right? 6-play drive. Then 51 seconds. Now, once again, the Giants defense was totally gassed at this point in time, right? So after this drive, they play 31 snaps in the fourth quarter. 31. At that rate, just at that rate alone, 31, there have been 124 offensive snaps, which is like would never happen. That's just too many. That would never happen. 124 snaps, I don't know if that's ever happened in an NFL game. An offensive team ran 124 plays in a game. But it gets worse. So that's 31. Then the Giants scored a touchdown, and then they got the ball, and when time ran out, right, they went another 56 yards and 37. I mean, look, right here. 6 plays and 68 yards, just 51 seconds. With no timeouts. They had no timeouts. Then they went 4 plays, 56 yards. So they went, what is that, 124 yards. In 10 plays, they went 124 yards in 2 drives, right? But this is 31 snaps. Then the final drive was 4 plays. The Giants defense was on the field for 35 snaps in the fourth quarter. At that rate, that's 140 snaps for a whole game. That you get 140 snaps between 2 teams, not one team. 30, and so the Giants in Denver, where there's like the oxygen is not free flowing. Okay, Giants defense played very well for 3 quarters, and they played 35 snaps in the final quarter, and they were just totally shot. Now, also to be fair, a lot of people calling for Bowen's head, right? But once again, on Big Blue Kickoff Live today, John Schmelk was talking, and what he said on like that one play that we rushed 3 guys, Dexter, and why Dexter was not on the field? He might have been just too tired. Might have been. Carter may not even been on the field either. He might have been a little gassed. We're not sure. But the Giants rushed 3 guys. They had 8 guys in coverage, right? On the one particular play, I think it was the first completion, John Schmelk said they had 7 guys in for pass protection. They had obviously the quarterback and 7 guys. So they only had 3 guys out in the pass pattern. 3 guys. So you can, why are we not sending more guys and stuff like that? Well, I mean, they apparently had 7 guys in to protect the quarterback. They sent 3 guys out. We had 8 guys in the secondary to cover 3. We could have literally almost triple teamed all 3 receivers. We had 8 guys to cover 3. I mean, don't you? And shouldn't that be advantage Giants, right? We shouldn't have got right. Was that a bad play call? Right? We had 8 guys to cover 3 players. Is that a bad play call? Yeah. And John Schmelk was rather adamant. Right? He said they weren't a prevent defense. A lot of it was like man to man. It wasn't a prevent defense. Right? It's just that the guys were relatively gassed. And let's see here. Let's see the field goal here. The kickoff. So they had 33 seconds to go. Beau next to Mims. Andrew Phillips was not. He was tired. He was tired. Right? Then a 30-yard pass. Right? Then we had a 5-yard penalty on Burns, neutral zone infraction, which put the ball, now it's past midfield, so the 5-yard penalty on Burns. Then the Giants called a timeout to try to, that was their timeout number 3 they called. So with 18 seconds to go, right? And a 22-yard pass, Beau next deep left to Cortland Sutton with, of course, Banks, who didn't have some bad coverage. Wasn't bad coverage, right? But so they got to 22 yards, and, of course, then they got down to the 21-yard line. And, of course, they had enough time to go up there and spike the ball, right? And, of course, then the field goal was good. But, to be fair, it wasn't necessarily such a horrible, play call because, on the first, I think it was the first play, right? The Giants had 8 guys in coverage to cover 3 wide receivers. And if you can't cover 3 wide receiver, now to be fair, we had a lot of our guys, Debo wasn't in there. We had Banks in there. The guys were tired. Holland wasn't in there, so. So it went as badly as that sounds. The Giants are 2-5 after being so close to surging to 3-4, but it won't cost defensive coordinator Shane Bowen his job. Brian Daboll said, "No, I'm not considering that, letting Bowen go." On Monday, when asked if he was making any changes to the coaching staff or play calling responsibilities, "We all have to do a better job. It starts with me." Daboll is correct in falling on the sword and in repeating on the loop that blowing a 19 fourth quarter point lead and allowing 33 fourth quarter points to the Broncos doesn't boil down to one play. But the play and the call made by Bowen that drew the most ire from players and fans alike was the decision to only send Roy Robertson-Harris, Brian Burns, and Kayvon at quarterback Beau next and drop 8 in coverage with 33 seconds remaining. The Pro Bowler Lawrence and first-round pick Carter watched from the sidelines. So once again, they could have been gassed. Right? Linebacker Bobby Okereke sunk off into an intermediate zone to protect against a check down completion and yards after the catch because big money free agent signings Javon Holland and Paulson Adebo both were sidelined by knee injuries. The 7 defensive backs included Jones, who was playing his second defensive snap of the season, and Brade was playing his first defensive snap of the season. So, not to mention Deontay Banks, a previously benched former first-round pick whose quarterback's target as soon as he steps on the field. Linebacker Bobby, what we got here? Yeah, so, Marvin Mims scored a 29-yard pass with Drew Phillips draped on his back and 5 Giants encircling the ball. But it didn't. Leave that to the coaches, Lawrence said Sunday after a long pause to gather thoughts when asked about not being more aggressive at the end of the game. A livid Brian Burns screamed up the tunnel after the loss after choosing to drop 8 in coverage. That emotion turned somber as Burns shed tears at his locker. So the Giants losing faith in Bowen with the benefit of a 20-hour cooldown period, it sounds that way. We're all hands on deck, Bobby Okereke said. We all bought in. Everyone has to look at the man in the mirror. Daboll had plenty of time to dictate his preference for an aggressive and passive philosophy to Bowen before the Mims catch because it followed Jackson Dart's go-ahead touchdown run, a replay review, a missed PAT, and a kickoff return. It was reminiscent of when the Giants were in a similar final second spot and deployed a similar light pass rush in Week 2 against the Cowboys, surrendering field position with a tying field goal and then the overtime victory. Not the same play call, as Daboll pointed out in defense of Bowen, but the same passive approach that Bowen regretted then. I wish we would have been a little bit tighter in coverage, Bowen said on September 18th. Just like all these calls that don't work, you second guess that you probably wish you went in a different direction. After one spike, Knicks went at Banks for a 22-yard catch by Cortland Sutton. that turned into a would-be 61-yard field goal into a walk-off chip shot. The Giants sent 4 rushers on that play, but it was too little, too late at that point. I'm out there making plays. They come to me, Banks said. I got picked on the second play. That was a great play by Sutton. Other than that, I feel like I was okay. We got put in a position where we could have won, but we gave it back to them. I put that all on us. We have to play better, Burns said. Daves is going to take the blame, his fault, and this and that. Nah. Burns and Lawrence both credited Bowen for calling a great game last week against the Eagles after saying they urged him to be more aggressive. You can bet John Mara feels the same way. Yep. It was Mara who first turned up the pressure on Bowen after last season when he said he was tired of watching teams go up and down the field on us. I can't possibly see how Bowen can't possibly. Daboll, who was turned away by several candidates before hiring Bowen in 2024 coordinator search, opted to maintain the status quo. He fired 2 coordinators and 4 position coaches in his first 3 years. There are plenty of plays that we had opportunities to make throughout the fourth quarter, Daboll said. We just came up short. So, it's just brutal. Yeah, you can say one thing or the other, but they apparently kept 7 guys in to protect, right? And they only had a few guys out there in coverage. Receivers out there. If you got 8 guys to cover 3 and you give up a reception, that's not on the play call. If they rush 6 guys, if they have 7 guys in there to protect, so now you only got 5 guys in the secondary to cover 3. Now your odds are even, But the one thing is that if you do wind up sending, like you send like 6 guys, that should hurry up his throw. It should not give him a chance to launch the ball down the field. Okay, but it just the one thing is the biggest thing is that from what I've seen is that the guys are just really, really freaking tired. Yeah, we had guys who were injured. We had guys in there for the first couple snaps, and of course we got Banks out there who stinks. He's not. He's got it. We got him for 4 years. Okay, so we got him for, we're not picking up his 5th-year option. We got him for 1 more year. He'll be a backup or whatever. But we do need we need to get another cornerback next season. Now, hopefully we sign Flott. I hope so. We got a Debo. Hopefully a Debo starts playing good football. Who knows about that? We'll have to wait and see how badly he's injured. But we need another cornerback. That's for darn sure, right? Because Banks is not even a good backup. He's just straight trash. Straight trash. I don't know what Wink Martindale saw in the guy, why he was so excited to actually have this guy, but he's just straight trash. And he's either getting burned in pass coverage or he's just not giving all-out efforts. And it's just he's not bad. The kick return he hasn't been too bad at, but on the defensive side of the ball, he's just let somebody else have him.